I think the most life-changing email I ever got was saying, "We're pleased to inform you that you've been awarded this fully expenses paid scholarship." After countless "we regret to inform you" emails, I could hardly believe it. And it took me up to 1 year of applying for scholarships, like a full-time job, guys. And in this video, I won't be explaining exactly what I learned, especially between the first time that I applied for scholarships and didn't get any, and the second time that I did. Hi guys, my name is Sis, in case you're new here, and I'm a Ugandan medical doctor working in the UK. And I did not actually initially come to work in the UK in the first instance. So I came as a student, and after I got a scholarship, I was awarded a scholarship of about £42,275, which is about 53,000 US dollars. That's all expenses paid. So the tuition alone was about £26,500, and the rest of the money was living expenses, amount of money for a project, and some other things that I don't remember. It was really life-changing. I honestly think I wouldn't even be here for that scholarship. Number one, because the UK was not my main goal. I did not intend to come and work here. It was just like a plan B. The only reason I came here was because the particular master's that I was interested in was only in 2 countries at that time, and I think it was in the US and the UK, and the UK was shorter because the UK has shorter masters. It was just 1 year, and it was either in London or Glasgow. I made a full video talking about my thought process, how I chose between the UK, Canada, and also the US, and I'll link it up here. So I applied for my scholarship 2 times, the one that I got particularly, but I applied for many scholarships. The first time that I applied for my course, I got accepted for the course, and I deferred it for a year, and then in that whole year I took time to just keep applying, and then finally I got it and I got in. So I feel like there are many things that I learned between the first time around and the second time. The first tip is to get appropriate work experience or volunteer experience. So the first time that I applied for my scholarship, I had 0 experience in the field. So my master's that I did was called Masters of Science in Global Mental Health. At the time I first applied for this course, I was doing my internship, and the only experience I had in mental health or in psychiatry was like the psychiatry rotation we do in undergrad, and no work experience at all, no volunteer experience at all. So the second time around, what I did was I got in touch with my mentor, who's a psychiatrist, and he helped me to get a position as a volunteer in a Mulago mental health clinic. So initially I tried going to Butabika, and it was really difficult. There's a lot of red tape and bureaucracy, and it was so tough, so I kind of gave up on that. So in this 1 year, I used to go and volunteer 1 day a week at the Mulago mental health clinic, and I see patients alongside like the other people who were there. And then by the end of the 1 year, I did have contacts in that place, and they were able to give me references that indicated that yes, indeed, I have had experience in this particular field. So I think if you can get experience in a related field, either working or volunteering experience, any experience makes a big difference. My second tip is to get a good reference. So you're going to be asked for a lot of references, but try and get a reference that can give you a more detailed one. So for me, the first time I applied for my scholarship, I actually had the same reference, but the thing is, the difference that happened in 1 year is that I intentionally made an effort to develop my professional relationship with my mentor. So my mentor was really good and went a step beyond most people actually, because he was intentionally mentoring me, introduced me to his wife and his kids and his whole family, and I was really like invited into the home. I used to go for events like birthdays and stuff, and we really got to know each other. He was giving me all kinds of life advice, not just work advice, and then helping me out, like maybe I need a volunteer experience here. He helped me get me a job there as a volunteer, of course, or advising me on like what's really I could be doing better to build my career. So that really made a big difference, because the very first time I asked him for a reference, I didn't know him that much. I just asked him, and he gave me, it was like 1 page, maybe like 5 paragraphs, like a 1-page reference letter with like just surface stuff. But second time around, it was really detailed. It still was probably 1 page, but this time around, like you could tell, like when I look at the 2 different letters, you could tell that this person really knows this person, and they really believe that they can get the scholarship. So he was like vouching for me. So if you have an option to get maybe a more detailed reference letter from someone who really knows you, but is maybe not as can I say not maybe highly placed, you'd rather get a more detailed letter from someone who's not as highly placed, but in a relevant field, of course, than get a surface letter from like the minister of like health or something. I don't know if that makes sense. So basically, get a good reference letter, and your reference should look like really they know you even in the letter. My next tip is to take time working on your scholarship letter. So if it's like an essay or it's like a statement or whatever they're labeling it, but consider it that they're asking you to write like 5,000 words in exchange for like $50,000. So really, you want to be making sure that the words that you're putting in this letter are worth it. The first time that I applied for a scholarship, honestly, I did not really put like much detail or even much effort. I just wrote just stuff and just submitted. It's no wonder I didn't get any acceptances. But the second time around, oh my gosh, I was so thorough. I wrote, first of all, I applied for so many scholarships, and for each one I really took so much time on it. So it was like my full-time job, guys. When I say that, I'm not kidding. So I was working about 3 or 4 times a week in one of the like clinics in Kampala. So it alternate days, and on my days off I'd be working on my scholarship. And then even on my days on, like when I'm working, if it's not a very busy time, I'd be using the internet, working on my letter, watching lots of YouTube videos on how to improve your letters, looking for different people who've done the letters before. And I feel like it made a huge difference to do take time and work on your letter. My next tip is to get someone to review your letter. So the first time when I was doing my scholarship applications, I just applied, like I said, nothing much. And obviously I didn't get anything. Second time around, I put so much time working on my letter, and I did look for people who had won scholarships before. So I just googled Chevening. It was very hard to find people, so I googled Chevening, and I saw like who are the Ugandans who'd won them the previous year, and I actually knew one of the girls who had personally. So I asked her for some contacts, and I sent my letters to all those people and asked them to please have a look, please let me know, what do you think? Getting feedback from everyone. I sent to my mentors, I sent to my dad, I sent to my friends, like anyone that you feel like can help you read your letter and improve it, do be asking them. I also remember sending my brother, thank you Cyril. I remember helping me with one of my letters. So if you're someone who offers a service of reviewing scholarship letters, then I would highly recommend that you do take that option. So by the time I did this, I didn't know anyone, but right now, guys, I do know someone called Faith Eddie Gold, and she has a partner called, I think, Prosi, and they together review people's scholarship letters, scholarship applications, and also I think CV letters. So she does have a YouTube channel where she's talked about like writing essays for like the different scholarships, like the Chevening one and some others. You can actually use their services, and then like they have a look at your scholarship letter and guide you and give you more advice. Personally, guys, I do not offer this service, but I would highly recommend that if you are applying for a scholarship, do get someone to review your letters. I'm very sure that if these guys were available at the time that I was applying, I definitely would have used it. And actually, when I was looking for advice on how to apply for scholarships, I came across an article by Prosi, who does this service now, and she was like giving some advice, and I remember I found it really helpful. So even then, where I didn't actually get to talk to her at that time, I got a lot of her advice, and it helped me out in my application that was finally successful. So imagine if you could actually get in touch with these people, guys. I'm going to link them in the description below, so make sure you go check them out. My 5th tip is to apply for the Chevening scholarship. So this scholarship is really detailed. Like they need like 5 essays, it's like several steps, it's like a major scholarship, but if you win it, then it's all expenses paid. I did not get this scholarship, but the process of applying for this scholarship made it so like gave me so much experience and practice that by the time I applied for the scholarship that I actually won, honestly, it wasn't that hard, because I had taken so much time and effort working on my other 5 letters, or 5 essays rather. When I came to this one that I won, which just wanted just one essay with like 300 words, I think, it was really easy. I just basically summarized the most important parts and put them here. So I would advise that if this scholarship is one that is in covering your field, then do consider the Chevening scholarship. I will link it below as well, that you can go and have a look. My next tip is to show how needy you are, guys. I think it makes a difference to indicate how much you need this money, and also what a big difference is going to make to your life and the lives of others. So for instance, I remember indicating that it was going to take me like maybe 10 years or however long I calculated for me to be able to work, like if I was working non-stop, and for all my salary to be able to afford like the value of the scholarship, or that is like my tuition alone. like I was going to have to work for like 10 years with the money I was making at that time. And also at the same time, besides just showing how needy you are financially, you also have to show what a big difference that this scholarship could have potentially. So like for me, I remember one of the things was like I could potentially work in the Ministry of Health back in my home country to help like develop mental health programs and things like that. So I think it's really good to show exactly like what is your 5-year goal, what is your 10-year goal. Like if you do this scholarship, or if you get the scholarship and do this course, what can you really do? Because the more potential you have, then the more likely that you're going to get it. My next tip is to personalize each scholarship application. So don't just copy and paste like you do Chevening and then you just copy and paste that elsewhere. Try and look at the values of the particular scholarship body or the panel and be applying whatever they want. So try and show that you have similar values. If they want people who are from low income countries, you will have to be showing how you are also in a low income country. If it's like a faith-based scholarship, because I did see there were some faith-based scholarships, then ideally you should be of the same faith. I'm not saying that you lie, but try and personalize it to show that this is the ideal candidate that they've been dreaming about. By the time they were making this like scholarship or decided to give away this money, you were the ideal candidate that they had in mind. So in relation to that as well, guys, read about the specific course that you want to do. So if you want to do an MSc in something, then you have to show that you really know about this course. So for instance, I indicated that the actual optional modules that I wanted to do, because in our second semester you do actually like select the options and you choose. So I put the ones that I wanted. I said I would want to do this one, I'd want to do this other one. I don't remember now, but I remember I didn't actually eventually do those ones, because remember it's not a binding agreement, but like show that you're really into this scholarship or you're really into this course. It's not just about the scholarship, you're interested, it's applicable to your life, it's applicable to the life that you hope to live after, and all this positive change that you want to bring about in the world also. My next tip is to apply widely. So personally, I just went to Google and just Googled scholarships, and there's so many web pages, and try and put keywords that relate to you. Maybe scholarships for African, scholarships for women, scholarships for mental health, scholarships for whatever you think could be related, and I would scroll and scroll. So this is why I said it was like a full-time job, because I was spending days on the computer like scrolling through scholarship lists to see if there's any that's even remotely related to me. I would be applying. And also I would not apply for only full scholarships, apply for even partial ones, because you know, if you have a partial one, it could add up to another partial one and it ends up into a full scholarship. So do apply as widely as possible, and do keep looking as widely as possible too. My next tip is to defer your place. So if you're accepted to a university, there is an option of deferring the place. Most universities unfortunately do require you to pay some money. So for me, in my case, I was initially supposed to start my university in 2016, which is what I was first accepted for, but I didn't have a scholarship, so I deferred my place to 2017. So what that means is that the university has held my place so that the next time I don't have to apply afresh, because it's not a guarantee that I'll get it. And it was a leap of faith on my part, because that was £2,000 that I was giving to the university, and I'm not sure if I'm going to get it back. So there was a chance that if the year had passed and I've got no scholarship, then like it was non-refundable. And then when I did get a scholarship, then they refunded the money. So that was a leap of faith, and I also appreciate that not everyone has that kind of money to just be putting somewhere. So I did get a loan from my dad, but again, I mean, it's my dad, so it's not like, what's it going to do if I don't pay it back? But I did have like a payment plan. I was intending to pay back the money if I like lost it, but it did first of all add a lot of pressure on me. Like I felt like I really have to get the scholarship whether I like it or not, because I was not prepared to lose that money, guys. So do take this option. If you are able to afford it, then I think it's a good one, because a lot of scholarships want you to already have an offer if possible. For example, the Chevening one, if you already have an offer, then it's kind of like makes the process faster, or you're going to be considered over someone who does not have an offer. And my 10th and final tip is to expect rejection, guys. You are going to have some rejection, because obviously there's so many scholarships, but there are even more applicants, and it's super competitive. But the thing is, just remember that you only need 1 year. So with every scholarship that you get rejected from, just take that as a sign of redirection. Look for, probably try and have a look at your letter, see what you can learn from that, and maybe don't be copying and pasting just that. See if you can improve that letter before applying to the next scholarship. And yeah guys, if you are a doctor and think that this is all a bit too much, it is actually. There are easier ways to come to the UK, and that's for instance doing the PLAB exams, and I've made a whole playlist that I'll link here, so go have a look at that. And yeah, maybe then you can consider which option fits best for you.